The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
10 candidates are on the ballot for school committee in this year's Fall River municipal election, and we're speaking to as many as possible between now and Election Day. So when you go to the polls, you can make an informed decision. There are going to be at least 3 new members of the school committee as we head into 2026, and I'm pleased to be joined by one of those challengers who hope to be one of the next school committee members. He is Emanuel Moniz. Manny, how are you? Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you, why did you decide to run for school committee?
Well, first and foremost, like I stated before, I have a couple of kids in the system. I've worked for the Fall River Public Schools as the maintenance director. I think I bring a great value of detail behind what I do as far as taking care of facilities and making sure our kids get what they need.
So let me ask you, just give us a little background about yourself for people who may not know you. You said you worked in the public schools, and I will get to that in a moment, but tell us a little bit about your background, what do you do for a living, and how that can be of benefit to the school committee.
Sure. I've for 2 decades, I've been a plumber, an HVAC professional. I've worked in different buildings, different projects. I've been all over Massachusetts. I've worked in New York, New Jersey. I've been pretty much everywhere, doing what I do best, plumbing and being part of the trades.
How long did you work for the Fall River School Department?
For the Fall River School Department, I started off as their plumber around when COVID started, and then I became the maintenance director right after that.
And what did that job entail? And what did what was your job, I guess?
Basically, as the maintenance director, I wanted to make sure the facilities were safe, that they were up to par as far as codes and violations, making sure the fire department and the police department knew our facilities, and we had safety plans set in place, and making sure we had control of asbestos issues, mold issues, and stuff like that.
So you have good working knowledge of all the current buildings, because how long have you been out of the district?
For probably a couple of years now.
Yeah. Okay. So you have working knowledge of the buildings. How can you bring that expertise in terms of the school committee? Because a lot of times there's the school committee has to approve contracts where work is done in many of the buildings, be it HVAC, be it construction work or what have you. How will you use your expertise to vet those projects to make sure that they're in the best interest of the school department?
First and foremost, key, especially with projects, is budget. Making sure we're on budget, and making sure we deliver what we're doing on time, and making sure that we get the best bang for the buck.
Yeah. So, on the school committee, how would you? What you're going to see as a school committee member, you would have seen probably as director of maintenance in some way, shape, or form. You may not have been part of the planning process because that may be a little bit higher level up, but you a lot of times have to manage some of these projects. So have you seen, I guess, any instances where, projects may not have been to what you may have wanted them to be at any time that you worked for the department?
Definitely. I mean, there's issues where things get carried away as far as, projects that go over budget, why they go over budget, and having solutions and finding ways of getting things done and delivering everything on time. Like usual, there's consequences that we run into when we start a project. We think things are always going to be smooth, and they're not. Problem solving and figuring ways of where we cut and how we get things done and make sure we get the same results in the end of what we planned on.
All right, I want to get to some other issues in terms of what the role of a school committee member is. One has to do with budget. The school department has seen a large influx of money over the past few years, thanks to the Student Opportunity Act. Boston sending more money down to cities, specifically cities like Fall River, gateway cities, to help them reach their educational attainment goals. And I'll get to MCAS in a moment. But do you think that the money, from what you've seen, and again, you've been involved, some of that money has been well spent, and how it's been spent, and how would you recommend that there may be another focus on different areas that may not be a focus right now?
Well, it's like everything else. Receiving money from the state and everything else is a great benefit for the community, but it's how we spend it and how we manage it and how we take care of our late fees and how we take care of our over-budgeted projects that go into a different extreme of cost for different reasons. But it's like usual. It's just like running a home set, taking care of your vehicle. You know what we need to do. We know how to do these things. It's just having a plan, making sure we stick to it, and getting through the problems and solving them in the best way we can as far as keeping budget at a level.
The district has had an issue for many years now in terms of recruiting employees, primarily teachers, a lot in special ed and English language learners, teachers, recruiting them and retaining them. The department uses outside, they outsource some of that right now. What do you say in terms of how the school department can do better to try to recruit quality teachers and keeping them here?
Well, like usual, to stay at a job and to be proactive and care about what we do, we have to support them. We have to make sure they get everything they need, especially the new teachers coming in. They need to know that they're being backed. They need to know that we're there for them no matter what, and whatever they need and what our students need to succeed, that's what we're driving for. That way we make sure they stay, and if it's due to their pay rates or whatever it is, we got to get to the bottom of it and making sure that we support them the best way we can to make sure our students get everything that they need.
A lot has been made in recent meetings about class size. There's a lot of classes are at the limit, 28, 29 students. Some people think that's too many. Do you think that's too many? And how would you help solve that? Because it's not only more teachers that you need, but you may also need some physical space. And you know about the physical space here in Fall River in terms of needing to add classrooms or make changes in some of the schools to maybe fit more classrooms to lower that class size.
Well, definitely. As far as we don't want to leave anybody out, and especially when we're taking people in and trying to make sure we have the room for them. We have to overlook our facilities and how we use them, and what's more important, making sure our kids are educated, everybody gets an opportunity, and finding the space and finding the resources that they need, especially when they're taking on 28 students, making sure we have paras, making sure we have people there that can support the teachers that have overwhelming numbers of students. That's a challenge, and a big challenge for them each and every day, and that's why I feel we need to support them and we need to relieve them from these type of stress environments, because like anything, the more we put on people, the more they feel like they can't handle things. But we have to make things easier and figure out better ways of doing things for them.
Yeah. Recently in the past couple of weeks, the state released the MCAS scores for the districts. Fall River pretty much staying status quo, some numbers up, some numbers down year over year. It appears that it's in some ways a tough nut to crack here in Fall River in terms of educational attainment. Part of is the demographics here in Fall River. How can, as a school committee member, you help in terms of providing some ideas on how to do a better job in making sure that there's it doesn't necessarily need to be a sharp increase of MCAS, but at least a movement in the right direction in terms of attainment?
Well, like everything, MCAS play a big part, and I think that's very important to make sure our kids get tested so we know where we're at. But at the end of the day, we do bring in all different types of people and all different type of learning curves. So this is a big way of looking at where we need to work and where we need to focus on things. A lot of our students are bilingual. They speak different languages. And yes, that's something that we have to overcome. But I don't want people to look at these test scores as a negative. It's definitely a positive because we know we need help in certain areas. And our kids need support, especially when they're coming into the country as immigrants, learning the system and jumping into different levels of grades. Some of them come in as kindergartners, some of them come in as freshmen. So there's so many different things that we can learn from MCAS also. It's not just the negative side of numbers. So we have a lot of work to do with all our students, with our staff, to make sure we prep our kids correctly to handle that.
Yeah. How important is parental involvement, engagement? Interviewing some of the other candidates, it may be difficult in a city like Fall River for parents to be, really engaged with their child's education because of their life issues, right? They're trying to make ends meet. They may have multiple jobs. How, as a school committee member, again, can you help working with the administration to try to get parents more engaged in their students' education?
Well, like a parent, it's very hard for me to be everywhere for them, and I'd love to be, but I have to support them in all different ways, financially, mentally, physically. I got to make sure they're up every day, ready to go. They're kids; they're going to push back. I understand. I'm a parent, but the biggest thing is anyone that's out there that's in need of help or going through some hard times, please reach out to the school committee. We're going to try to do what we can, especially if I get on. I want to be that voice where I can say, yes, I know what you're going through. Let's work things out. Let's work through it. Let's find out how we can get your kid to school. What can we give them to help them achieve better grades and be successful?
Yeah. Did you have the opportunity at all when you were working here to work with, she wasn't superintendent at the time, Dr. Curley? And if so, what was that like? And if not, what are your thoughts in terms of how she's been handling the job thus far?
Well, I didn't have the opportunity to work with Mrs. Curley, but from what I see, and I see how the school committee is being run right now, I don't like what I see. I think that we have to find a better way of communicating, and especially with the superintendent, because that's a big role, because the school committee and the superintendent always have to work together. I'm not saying agree on everything. I'm just saying there's got to be better communication between the superintendent and the school committee to come up with better solutions.
Yeah.
And it's a team effort,
yeah,
for sure.
As I mentioned, there's going to be, at least 3 new members of the school committee next year. 3 incumbents decided not to run this year. You're hopeful to be one of those 3 new members at the very least. There could be more because there are 6 positions available. There's been a lot of tension amongst school committee members in recent months. If you've watched any of the school committee meetings, what is your take on that, and how can you, as one school committee member, make sure that there's more cohesion and more cooperation amongst the members of the committee?
Well, I feel like everyone on the school committee deserves to have a voice and get their opinion out. I feel that there has got to be more respect for one another, and we have to hold people accountable, and we have to have an understanding while they're up there speaking about issues and problems that, yes, these are not easy topics. We got to get through it and work together and find better ways of handling certain situations, and not try to hide or not talk about them at meetings. And we got to make sure the public's aware of what's going on in our facilities with our students and our staff and what they're going through, and not just push things aside. These are very important topics, and people need answers. Families need answers, and someone like myself wants to see a better results up there.
Yeah. All right, Emanuel Moniz, a candidate for school committee. Thank you for your time. Good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you for joining us here at FRC Media, and please make a point to vote on Tuesday, November 4th.